Thank you, Peter. I appreciate the introduction. Political climatology is my subject, and it's based on the race to devastate the rural American economy. Political climatology, what is accountability when it's related to environmental issues? The basis of rural American politics is what we need to discuss, and a forced perspective for 2025 and the future potential problems that we would face in mitigation and resilience. What is accountability when it comes to environmental issues? The next decade requires critical societal alterations toward climate mitigation and trying to maintain standards of living. So American leadership will be absolutely essential. And as we're in 2024 and an election year for top leadership positions, there's clear opposing differences between candidates toward climate issues. So future direction is related to many problems: financial investments, supply chain challenges, market deterioration, and other essential concerns. Fossil fuel industry reps were criticized for attending the COP28 event. Are they to be held accountable and not allowed a seat at the table to help try to mitigate these issues? And what about some of the utopian world idealists who constantly add more subjects to the table and deter some real mitigation efforts? Should capitalism be accountable? What about the poor and the interesting situation with Barbados? Is there accountability or necessity here? Political climatologists are basically unscientific Americans, some amateurs, some with professional credentials, that may represent the most accountable group currently. But what does accountability mean for them? There's clear definition between the two political parties. There's plenty of data that shows only about 16% of Republicans view climate as very important, while 73% of Democrats say the opposite. And it's based on the 30 rural states that are based on population densities of percent urban versus percent rural. These states represent 60 U.S. senators, the number needed to pass legislation, choose federal judges, and ratify treaties in the Senate. Currently, of these 60, there's 46 Republicans, 10 Democrats, and 4 independents, and that means almost half the Senate is currently represented by rural state Republicans. And yet, if we look at where climate change deniers live, the United States is second only to Indonesia in the percent of people who deny climate change is a reality. And if we look at where they are located geographically, the 30 states that I have outlined as being rural are based on population comparison with urban centers. So in Texas, with large rural areas, is actually not considered a rural state in voting because it has huge cities like Dallas and Houston. Nevada is similar because of most people living in Las Vegas and Reno. But the deniers completely live in rural states, and more than half of those total. So according to several surveys, Donald Trump has been the strongest influencer supporting climate denial, followed by specific conservative media outlets. But what's also been a problem with climate denial has been influenced by Al Gore. Political opposition influencers have labeled climate as a falsehood, and especially since Al Gore Inconvenient Truth was released in 2006. Biden must win key rural states and at least a third of the 30 total to be president. Rural America will undergo greater economic hardships than urban areas due to climate change. Climate change impacts will require significant funding and adaptation within the rural transportation system, health and emergency response systems, just to name other issues. It's already stressed in rural communities, facing geographic and demographic isolation, limited economic diversity. They have higher poverty rates and an aging population. All of these will depict fundamental importance in planning for and responding to climate change events. And they're going to be increased frequency of unpredictable weather, heat, floods, drought, and those will impact the farming community and require emergency funding from limited federal financing. and those can create potential shifts and market support changes that can relocate family farms. The rural community is firmly behind Donald Trump and to be reelected as president. If that occurs, the money already allocated for the Inflation Reduction Act will be limited. EV production will come to a standstill, as it has already just from the current polls. NATO will face a potential situation in Europe that may involve an armed conflict, and markets for farm exports will tighten. So the rural economy will require increasing support of limited finances. If they follow the Project 2025, that creates serious issues with losing some experienced federal professionals. Climate data will be severely restricted or eliminated, and farm support payments will shift. The EPA will be restrained, and national debt will naturally increase. So rural America associates climate issues with regulation that's going to be placed on them and further burden their economic situation. A Biden victory is not going to change that perception. It must be done from the academic and business climates and businesses. Current global data suggests we must focus research on climate mitigation and resilience first, and not complicate progress with serious social change agendas. Still, we're on track for serious climatological issues before any real success is determined. So, my requests are, using newly developed technology and ideas that begin to accomplish mitigation improvement within 5 to 10 years. Plan responses to increase resilience to environmental problems that are going to occur, not if they will. And organize an educational extension service throughout rural America related to climate disintegration and production alterations. Seek to reduce the spread of misinformation by targeting communities that are most at risk and need effects to handle climate change. Overall focus to convince rural America that climate change is real would affect elections, would affect treaty ratifications, and other important situations going forward so that America can be the leader in climate change, mitigation, and resilience that we need to be. Thank you for your time.